So in this skill boosting activity, we are going to be working with some color mixing. So I think it's important for you to kind of become familiar with your palette, and creating a color chart is something that can be really helpful for you as you work on it, so the process itself, and then being able to refer back to it later. So the only thing I would suggest though is you don't want it to become a crutch for you where it's hindering you if you're checking every color while you're painting. So eventually your colors are going to become secondhand to you, and you're going to figure out how to mix these colors and how they're going to react with each other. But this is just a really great exercise for you to do, just to see up front how these colors work. So what you're going to need for this particular color chart is a canvas board, and this one is a 16 by 20. If you can get a square canvas, like a 20 by 20, it actually would work better, and then you can have even squares in your grid. But this is one that I had, and just made it work. So the first thing you're going to do, and you might want to refer to your PDF because I've got all the instructions typed out for you to download or print if you so desire. But you're going to start off with a 1/2 inch row across the top and a 1/2 inch column on the left side. So that's where you're going to be labeling all of your colors. And then the measurements that I used for mine, first of all, I knew that I had to fit in 20 colors because I'm using 20 colors from my palette. So I wanted to put my colors in the same order as my palette is. So if I'm looking at my palette from this side, from left to right, I start with sap green and go all the way around with my translucent colors, and then pick up my opaque colors here. And I went ahead and took the liberty to label these for your benefit, just so you can see what each color is and how it relates to the color chart here. So that might be something that you want to do throughout the course also, is have your palette colors labeled. So I labeled them the same way here, and I've got 20 colors that I'm working with. So I figured out that my measurements needed to be a 3/4 inch mark down. So each of these rectangles is 3/4 of an inch by 1 inch across. Okay, so if you're using a square surface, it'll be easier and you can make these even. So math is not my strong point. I didn't end up with 2 squares that were a little bit smaller on the end. But the point is to be able to just have a chart that you can refer to. So what we're going to start off doing once you have these labeled, and I've started with sap green, went through all the translucent colors until we picked up cad red light, cad orange, cad yellow deep, all the way to ice blue. And then from left to right, the same thing. We start with the sap green, go all the way to the ice blue. So what I would suggest doing, since you're not making a grid over the entire canvas, you're just creating a half grid. So this would be pointless to have the grid here. It would just mimic the same colors and everything would get repeated. So that's why we only did half. So on this diagonal, I went ahead and took the liberty to go ahead and put all of the pure colors in order. So we've got sap green, and then phthalo green, Caribbean blue, etc., until we get all the way to white and ice blue. So what we're going to do here is see how these colors look once they're mixed. So when we come here, sap green and phthalo green, we're going to mix those two evenly and place that right here. So let's go ahead and do that now. What I'm doing also is for my translucent colors, I am using the medium, just like we would in a painting. When we get up here to the opaque colors with the CAD red light, all the way up through the ice blue, those are the opaques, so it's not necessary to add in the medium. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick up a little bit of medium here, and we're going to get some sap green and some phthalo green, making sure we have fairly even amounts with our medium. And we're going to come over here and just place that in this square. Now if you find it dragging like that, you just need to come in and add a little more medium to your mix. Okay, so there's our sap green, phthalo green mixture. So you want to make sure you've got your paper towels handy. Go ahead and clean that brush out really good in between. Okay, so the next color we're going to go to is the next diagonal, and that's going to be Caribbean blue and phthalo green. So I'm picking up a little bit of medium, coming in with my Caribbean blue and my phthalo green. Okay, so that one's going to fall into this category, phthalo green, Caribbean blue. And then we'll go to the next one. So the next one is going to be Caribbean blue, we can see here, and ultramarine blue. So again, cleaning that brush off in between, making sure we don't contaminate those colors. Picking up some ultramarine blue, a little bit of medium, and some Caribbean blue. Ultramarine blue, a little bit of Caribbean blue coming right in here. Okay, so we'll just continue this all the way up, and then we'll start here, and then we'll come in with Caribbean blue and sap green. So just work in a manner that is going to be consistent and not get confusing to you. I am going to skip around just a little bit just so that you're not having to watch me fill in every single one of these squares. But let's see what happens when we come over here to our sap green, Caribbean blue. Picking up a little sap green and a little Caribbean blue. Sap green, Caribbean blue. So let's just pick up our CAD yellow. Let's do CAD yellow and CAD yellow deep. So this time we're not going to use medium because we're working with opaque colors. So I'm going to pick up a little CAD yellow deep. And notice that I put the colors in the middle of the palette next to each other and then gradually pull the two together until I get the color that I'm looking for. So we're just looking for kind of a mid 50-50. Kind of scoop that color up, and coming back over here to our CAD yellow deep mixture. So that'll go right in here. And if we skip around some more, let's find something over here in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I rinse out that brush really, really good. So I rinse it. I'm using that nice concave chicken wire there at the bottom. It kind of helps to really clean that brush off, wiping the excess off on the rim of the jar. And then wiping the brush through the paper towel, pulling it, getting a nice chiseled edge, just pulling that color out of there. And let's do Indian blue, or I'm sorry, ice blue and magenta. Okay, let's just pick this square here, ice blue and magenta, just so you can see what some of those opaque colors look like. So we're pulling in some ice blue, pulling in some magenta, bringing those two colors together, getting a nice, pretty, cool, purpley pink color. I kind of try to just go for mid-tones whenever I'm doing the color charts. You can also do different types of color charts and do value scales from lights to darks. So there's lots that you can do with these color charts. But eventually you'll get the entire chart filled out and you'll be able to see how two colors mixed together relate with each other. So again, there's lots and lots of ways to create these color charts by using either all magenta with white. You could do a value scale. There's endless numbers. You could mix 3 colors together and see what happens. So the sky is the limit, but this will get you started in kind of a simple matter of using just the 2 colors together to see what those 2 colors look like. So I'll go ahead and finish this off so you can see the end result, and hope that you will join me in creating your own color chart, and you'll find, I think, that it's going to be very helpful and bring you lots of knowledge about color mixing. So thank you for watching.